So I had Britt on here about a year ago, and she told me the whole story of how you guys met
Yeah.
on Bumble, which
Yes,
I think gives a lot like great hope to people who are on some sort of dating app right now that if
it works.
you guys can do it, they can maybe do it.
Right.
Were you aware of who she was before you saw her on the app?
So I had known we had become, I think she added me as a friend on Facebook like a year before. So I had known of her in the sense of I saw her profile picture and so I'm like, oh, she's cute, but we never talked. And I remember I was on Bumble and she was also on Bumble, but was kind of close to where I was living. And she had sent me a screen cap of my picture on Bumble and then sent me a message on Facebook and said, hey, this guy looks familiar. So then we had kind of talked a little bit back and forth. And then it actually, in the beginning, we would talk for a little bit. And then again, she's slammed with school. I'm traveling all over the world. So then we kind of wouldn't talk and then we would talk again. And I remember one time we had started talking. I'm like, she seems really cool. I want to go on a date with this girl. So I'd asked her about going on a date and she wasn't having it. She didn't want to date a wrestler. She was doing her own thing. So I'm like, okay. But we kept talking as friends. And then she claims that what did it for her was I was over in Japan for Wrestle Kingdom. And it was when I won the Ring of Honor title for a third time. And I was messaging her the entire time. And I remember her saying like, okay, he is really interested. You know, he's not just pretending that he's interested. So she finally agreed to going on a date with me. We met at a TGI Fridays, 2.5 hours for me, 2 hours for her, closed the place down. And then this part too is we were supposed to hang out like 3.5 weeks later. And I said, hey, I know we're supposed to hang out in 3.5 weeks, but can you hang out tomorrow? And she goes, yeah, sure. And then the rest was history. But so I didn't really know her. That was me just telling my own version of the story, but I didn't really know her before. But as I got to know her, I knew that she was someone that I wanted to get to know more.
And this was a long distance relationship for a lot of it, right? You're in Orlando, she's in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, a very long time. Well, the nice thing too, what made it a little bit easier actually was it was long distance from the gate. Because even when I lived in Pennsylvania, she was 4 hours from me. So it wasn't like we could hang out every day. So we were able to adjust to the aspect of a long distance relationship pretty early on. So now getting to spend so much time together and live together, it just feels like a treat. So that was the other thing too, is even when I was in NXT and she was in AEW, and there'd be times where I would see her for a half a day. Of course it sucked and it was a bummer, but we've done way worse. There were times where we didn't see each other for 3 or 4 weeks sometimes. So we've always been used to that. So now anytime I get to spend with her is a plus in my book.
But she was telling the story about like how intentional you guys were. Like you would sit down and watch a movie at the same time. Like you'd hit play at the same time. And it's like you were there, even though you couldn't physically be there with each other.
Exactly. Yeah. We found ways to make sure that we still spent, quality time together. And it was some of my best memories of our relationship were, 3-hour FaceTimes where, I'm down in Orlando and she's up in Pittsburgh. And like you said, watching a show together, we found ways to make it work. And when you have two people that are invested in the relationship, there's always a way to make it work. And we did.
Hey, it's Chris, and thank you so much for checking out this video on my brand new YouTube channel, CVV Clips. As the name suggests, it's a place where I'm going to post clips from some of my favorite interviews. If you haven't subscribed yet, make sure to hit subscribe and also check out these videos right here. YouTube thinks you might like them.